Hi, and welcome back to Kids in Entrepreneurship. This is the holiday season. So, what is the holiday season most famous for other than Santa and gifts and cookies? Holiday movies, or just movies in general. So, today I'm here with my guest, MInesh Baxi, my dad, and we're just going to be talking about some of the movies that we've seen within the past week or so, because I know we've seen quite a few movies this holiday season. We saw 3 movies at the theater. Last Christmas, starring Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding. We saw Jumanji 2 with The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan. Jumanji 2, sorry. And then we saw the new Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, with Daisy Ridley and Ensemble. So, out of the 3, which one are your favorites?
Good question. For me, frankly, there was different things for different movies.
Sure.
So, Star Wars and Jumanji is more exhilarating kind of movies, whereas Last Christmas is obviously on the slower romantic comedy. And if I was to pick one of the 3 really, then the surprise for me was the movie Last Christmas. And I think partly because I really didn't have many clear expectations. I didn't have the plot awareness. And I know Henry Golding is just cute. I know. You saw the Crazy Rich Asians, and he just looks so cute in the movie as a nice gentleman, and I like that character. So for me, it fit very well from that thinking, and that was surprisingly a really nice movie, a very different, fresh movie. That was my personal favorite out of the 3. And again, we saw 3 movies in theaters in 4 days. So we saw quite a few.
We did, so it's very fresh in my mind. I think my favorite out of the 3 was Jumanji 2. Mostly because I just really like comedies. I think comedy is my favorite genre of all time. And I think sometimes with comedies, especially like the older movies, like rated R movies kind of comedies. Not that Jumanji is rated rated R, but I just liked their sense of humor the most. I know everyone has their own sense of humor, but I think Jumanji 2's humor really aligns with mine. So
yeah, is it rated G or R?
It's PG-13.
PG-13. Okay, I didn't know that one. And I didn't pay attention because I'm obviously old enough to not think into that.
Yeah, it's
direction.
PG-13.
Jumanji was very harmless comedy.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, an easy part about taking you and other people with me. And so, surprisingly, Daisy Ridley doesn't figure into your calculation in these 3 movies. What do you think was missing from Star Wars?
I don't think Star Wars was a bad movie. I know that the sequels in general are having a little bit of a mixed reviews. It doesn't hold up to the original trilogy, but it's not necessarily as bad as the prequel trilogy. I think the sequel trilogy is okay. I think the finale was a little bit underwhelming for me. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. It was just she is revealed to be a Palpatine. Palpatine's obviously the Sith Lord, the bad guy, and she's training to be a Jedi. She's a good guy. So to learn that your entire ancestral bloodline are all bad guys, it's a little bit weird. But I just don't think they had enough setup for her reveal. I feel like her reveal could be a lot more shocking. I think there could have been better hints, a lot more subtlety in the movies. I think especially in The Last Jedi, they didn't do anything to add to her character arc. They didn't do anything. So it was just really underwhelming as a movie. It wasn't a bad movie. Like, if you just looked at it objectively, not as like a huge fan, it wasn't a bad movie. It was exciting. It had some good comedy elements. It had good action sequences. But it's probably not it's a little bit more underwhelming for the fans.
Well, you know me, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I know this is shocking to some people that there are people who don't like Star Wars as much. To me, every Star Wars movie is kind of seeing the same movie again. And again, some of you may know I'm a James Bond movie fan, and you might be like, "Minesh, James Bond looks the same." Well, obviously, we all have our own ways of looking at things, correct? But the point I think important is I really liked the movie. I enjoyed it. Not a favorite for all time or any of that stuff. But I could keep my interest. And one of the things I like is IMAX. I think IMAX keeps the action a lot more alive, and you feel more engaged in the action than if it was not an IMAX. And again, maybe I would have still enjoyed it because I think the movie flowed relatively easily enough for me. There was enough plot within it so that it was keeping my interest rather than just people bombarding here and there and everything else. So that was, I think, one of the parts about Star Wars. But do you feel Star Wars is losing steam? Do you feel, because you're a big Star Wars fan, is it losing steam? Is it going to lose people like you in the future?
I mean, yeah, if you look at The Rise of Skywalker, objectively, it was a good movie. But it's hard to keep that lore for the Skywalker saga. Because, you know, the prequels, I think, had a lot of potential. Because if you look at it, Anakin had a really interesting character arc. And I could really tell what they wanted to do. It just didn't come out. It looked like an indie film, if anything. They tried some, like, higher effects towards the last 2 movies. But it was just... the execution, the writing was not good. I think they could do a lot more with Star Wars. They have the Mandalorian show, which is on Disney+. I like it. It's just, I'm not the biggest action fan, and the Mandalorian is mostly just action.
Okay.
It's not a bad show or anything. I enjoy it. They have Baby Yoda, which is like the main selling point for me. I
didn't know about Baby Yoda till yesterday. Can you believe that?
I mean, you
I
said,
I live under the rock, obviously.
I don't know what to say. I don't know how you could do that to yourself. I don't think they should try and do anything more with the Skywalker saga.
Okay.
If they try anything else with the Skywalker saga, like even a TV show, if they tried like even a short film or anything, I just don't think it'll work. I think they could do more Rogue Ones, which is little inserts. I don't think inserts are maybe the best because it just makes the plot kind of worse. But I wouldn't mind, like, for the most, if they wanted to do the Skywalker saga, I wouldn't mind like a film kind of exploring Ben Solo's raising. I'm not the biggest Kylo Ren fan or anything, but I think that whole after the war is done, and then now the First Order's coming up, more of course bad guys coming up because there's always bad guys. I think that big gap between number 6, Return of the Jedi, and number 7, The Force Awakens, they could probably do something, but I don't think they should try a sequel to the sequels, if that makes sense. I don't want that again.
Well, I think you're talked enough about Star Wars, so let's talk about Jumanji. Jumanji was fun.
It was
I agree
great.
With you. It was a great comedy. The Rock did a great job. I think Karen is really doing well in the movie. Jack Black did a good job as well, and so did Kevin Hart. So all the actors really did the best they could. The plot wasn't the best. I think it was a little simpler plot, in my opinion. It's not very complicated to understand either. But they did move the story along quickly enough.
Yeah.
And they kept people engaged.
Yeah.
And the action was pretty decent. Comedy was really good in a couple of spots especially. And was there any particular part of the scene, comedy, that you really enjoyed?
I mean, for Jumanji, like if you make a video game movie, there's only so much you can do. The plot isn't always going to be like as shocking as Star Wars or something. But I think they did a good job with what it's worth, because video game movies in general can be very bad. Like a majority of them are very bad. Like there's only 2 that's like good. But in Jumanji 2, I liked most sequences, if I'm being honest. I think the actors do a really good job of portraying like themselves as a character, the video game character, but also like kind of imitating who the person is playing the character of. Like you're having Awkwafina, who plays Ming, who plays a variety of characters. I think she did a good job when she was pretending to be like the grandpa when she was like walking, and her voice changes, and Karen Gillan being very insecure. And then I just think the actors did a really good job nailing that part. Like you could really tell who the character was. You can tell the distinctions. You can tell who it is without actually seeing who it is. So
especially I think The Rock did a great job in the beginning. I think he did a great job as well.
Yeah.
So I think that. So do you think there is a Jumanji 3 now?
I think Jumanji 2 made a lot of money.
Correct.
I think it's a very big possibility. I'm not gonna say no, and I hope it does well. I was kind of scared for Jumanji 2. I was kind of scared they were gonna ruin it, but I think Jumanji 2 is great, so I have a little bit higher hopes for 3, especially by the end credit scene that they set up. It looks a lot, because you can't go back into the video game. None of the kids will want to do it, so I think it'll be interesting. I guess my prediction is probably that I think it's the mom and the heater guy who go into the basement and then get sucked into the game. I think that'll be interesting. I think my biggest prediction is that the Jumanji game will come seep into the real world, but then the heater guy and the mom are still stuck in the game. So I'm gonna guess that the kids have to split up. Some go in the game to get the parents out, or the adults out, sorry, and then some have to, keep the ostriches
Keep
alive.
the world alive.
Yeah, kind of save the world. I don't think it'll be like a huge Avengers scale save the world. Probably just their town. Probably.
Interesting. Well, that's possible. So good thinking on your part. I'm really impressed with the way you're thinking. Let's go to the last movie, which was Last Christmas.
Yep.
And I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I guessed a couple of things in the plot as the movie kept along, but I think overall, I felt the movie was overall well made, and they had a decent plot. And I don't want to give away too much information. What did you like about the movie?
Well, are we going to give away spoilers? I'm okay with it. I'm gonna give away spoilers. It's been out for a month and a half.
You better have watched it.
You better have watched it. Okay, people have seen Star Wars. They're already giving out spoilers like the day it was released. So, you know what? Suck it up. But I knew there was something fishy about him. I knew he was probably going to be a perfect guy to help her because, she's portrayed as the pessimist. He's portrayed as the optimist. It's very cliche, kind of opposites attract. I knew there was something with him. I thought he was more like a guardian angel, kind of one of Santa's elves kind of thing, to see the joy in Christmas or something. And they kind of had that. It was a little bit different. The reveal makes a lot of sense if you think about it. The reveal that she had a heart transplant and it was his heart transplant, and that's why she was the only one who could see him. But I think it was a good reveal. It was shocking enough, but the minute it was kind of starting, you could guess. But it was a very well done reveal, I think, because reveals can be very. I was very
pleased because the way they did it was very quick. And they didn't have any dialogue about it at all. It was all through images.
Yeah.
It was all through expressions.
Yeah.
And suddenly you are taken back. Now, for me personally, there was Sixth Sense was the other movie where they have something similar in that respect. And Kim, my wife, was telling about the movie Ghost, which was with Patrick Swayze as well. But Sixth Sense has more suspense in it, and that's common with Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Whereas the Ghost really didn't have suspense in it from that perspective.
I haven't seen Ghost. I don't know.
That was. So anyway, all in all, I think it was fun to do that. And I think in the next segment, let's talk about how come we went to 3 movies and in 4 days, what was the behind the scenes part of it? What made it easy for us to do that? And we'll talk about that in a minute here. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up about these 3 movies?
Nope, I think I've said a lot.
You said a lot. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our comments on the 3 movies. If you have watched those 3 movies and you have some comments, keep posting your comment and let us know as well. Otherwise, we'll talk to you and see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Bye.